is an important meme I want to show you, okay? Because I think it speaks a little bit to where we find ourselves today, but it also speaks a little bit to Sean's concerns as well. It's a meme I found on Facebook. If you follow me on Facebook, you've probably seen it out there. Here it is. When you learn how to sit at the table with your Judas, you'll understand the love of Christ. That's pretty deep, right? When you learn to sit at the table with your Judas, you'll understand the love of Christ. So, Last Supper, Jesus sitting around with the boys, sitting around with the family, sitting around with the friends, sitting around with his crew, and they're breaking bread together. I always imagine they're eating some grapes and drinking some wine, having some cheese and some bread, maybe some protein of some form. I don't know, maybe chicken or something. Bottom line is they're sitting around there enjoying this meal together. And Jesus talks about how he's going to be betrayed. And he tells them, somebody at this table, the one who dips their bread into this, that's going to be the one that betrays me. So the story goes that Jesus had a sense of who it is. He knew who it was. It was going to be one of these 12. He knew, I think, that it was going to be Judas. Now, we're not getting into the question of Judas, okay? We're not going to get into did he know it? Did he not know it? Is he good? Is he bad? Was he a patsy? Whatever the case is. We're not going to get into that. We're just going to talk about the idea of betrayal. Okay? That meme, that's what it represents. When you can sit down, at a table with the one who betrayed you, when the one who took everything from you, then you can understand the love of Christ, the depth of the love of Jesus, the insurmountable love of God, the unquestioning, unfathomable love of God, the ridiculously wild love of Jesus Christ. Unearned, right? Completely unearned, completely undeserved, if we could use those terms. Love of Jesus Christ. If you can sit with the person who betrayed you like Judas betrayed Christ, then you can begin to understand the kind of love that Jesus has. The kind of love ultimately that we're called to offer. Now, this is the gold standard. Okay, this is the ring we're supposed to be reaching for. This is where who we're supposed to grow to become. We're supposed to grow to become a person that can sit down with somebody who betrayed us and still break bread with them, and still share with them, and eat with them, and talk with them. I'm not saying that's where you have to be today. I'm saying that's how we're supposed to be healing towards that goal. We're supposed to be moving towards that goal. Some of us are. Some of us aren't. Some of us are somewhere in between. Some of us have gotten there. Some of us haven't even thought about this particular part of the journey, whatever the case might be. But if you can do that, you can begin to understand the love of God, the love of Christ. This is the kind of love that allows us to look at the migrant and say, I love you. It's the kind of love that allows us to look at the undocumented and say, I'm going to stand beside you. It's the kind of love that allows us to look at our neighbor and says, I'm going to stand up to protect you. It's the kind of love that allows us to stand beside the worst of the worst and say, I'll provide for you. That's the depth. And that's who we're supposed to be. And sadly, if we aren't able to sit at the table with our Judas, then we don't really understand that love. For whatever reason. Maybe it's a matter that we haven't grown to that place. Maybe it's because we're choosing not to. But if we can look at a meme like this and say, absolutely not, then we're limiting our ability to know that love. If we can look at a person on the street and say absolutely not, then we limit our ability to know the depth of the love of Christ. If we can look at a person and say, no, I will not, then we are limiting our ability to grow, to become more like Christ. I'm not saying it's easy. As I've said many times, Jesus' message is very simple, but it's also incredibly difficult. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it is very difficult, but it's something we're supposed to be aspiring to. And it's okay if we can't when we try, but it's not okay not to try. So we look around our world and we look around the crises that seem to be befalling us. Am I willing to try to love? Am I willing to try to love the migrant? Am I willing to try to love the poor? Am I willing to try to love the person who's done something that I despise? Am I willing to try to love MAGA? Am I willing to try to love Republicans? Am I willing to try to love liberals? Am I willing to try to love Democrats? Am I willing to try to love conservatives? Am I willing to try to love the violent? Am I willing to try to love the coward? Am I willing to try to love the selfish? Am I willing to try to love the greedy? This doesn't mean we agree. It doesn't mean we capitulate. It doesn't mean we allow them to harm others. Am I willing to try to love them? If we're willing to try, we will be rewarded with a growing understanding of the kind of love that Jesus has for the world. If I'm not, then I'll never know the depth of Jesus' love for myself or for others. Amen.